Whether you're teaching an English as a second language class, working with someone who is new to the English language, or integrating English language learners into a mainstream kindergarten to grade 12 classroom, this video will provide insight for teachers and to individuals who speak English as a second language. Some of the individuals I interviewed attended grade school where they first started to learn English, while other people started to learn the language in adulthood through various programs within Winnipeg. Throughout the English-speaking world, there are wide variations in the kind and amount of training that English as second language students receive. We will touch upon just a few of these examples throughout the interviews. This video is intended to provide beneficial information and a personal perspective for both instructors and English language learners with the point of view from students or individuals who have English as a second language.
My name is Ana Maria Grabovac. I was born in Zagreb, Croatia, and I came to Canada in 2005, so it was grade 3, and I attended an enrichment program where they would take me out of regular classes and I would go with a special teacher and she would help me with pictures and basic words, and that's how I learned English.
My name is Danila Jakšić and I came here in 1995 from Bosnia, and I started school in kindergarten and I was in ESL till grade 5, 6.
My name is Mara Carbalnos. I was born in the Philippines, and I studied English in the Philippines. We have an English, I didn't attend a program here. We have, when we were young, we have an English subject at school. So starting from then, from kinder, we have an English class in there.
My name is Hélène Morakis. I went to École La Certe. I am born in Canada, but I only started learning English in grade 4.
My name is Belinda Jaksic. I was born here and I didn't attend all my schooling here.
And when did you first start speaking English?
When I started school. We didn't know any English before school, but we started learning it through TV and school and books.
And what did you speak at home?
We spoke Bosnian. Our parents never let us speak anything else because they couldn't understand it either.
Okay, I'm Maria Teresa Reyes. I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I came here last April 2008 with my family.
Hi, my name is Christine Perrin, and both my parents are French, so that was my first language. I started learning English in elementary school in grade 4.
Could you share with me some of the positive and negative experiences you have encountered while learning English in Canada or English as your second language?
Some of the positives were that when we would get taken out for ESL, it'd be a bunch of us immigrant kids, so we would just talk amongst ourselves. The negatives were that they sent a lot of homework that we didn't know because we didn't understand English at all. So we would just send back blank papers and the teachers would get mad at us for not answering our questions or doing our homework. And the worst was when you had to take home, during the February I Love to Reading month, you had to take home that piece of paper and log how much hours you read. I just didn't read, so.
I always liked learning English. I did have one issue. When I was younger, I used to roll my R's because that's how Greeks speak. And so they used to have to take me away from the classroom to practice saying my R's without rolling them. And I used to be a little bit embarrassed about that.
Well, first it was quite hard because everybody around me was fluent and they were always speaking and I couldn't fully understand them all the time. So I'd really ask them to slow down and speak really slow, and they'd get annoyed as I saw in their faces, so I kind of felt hopeless at that point.
When did you start to feel more positive about it or confident?
After I began taking lessons with that private teacher, She helped me gain more confidence, and with her help, I also was able to pick up on conversation more.
Oh, the positive way of learning English is it's a good experience. Like you can talk to everybody here. You can easily understand what they're saying. I think there's no negatives because for me, I still know how to speak my own language, like my Filipino language. So
Yep.
there's no problem. There's no negatives. I think it's positive because you can interact with all kinds of people.
Um, it, I don't think there's negative on learning English because English seems to be the international language, which is language all over the world. So you can communicate with everybody using English. But then here in Canada, there are some terms that are different from what we have learned in the Philippines. It seems like more an American English that we learn. And so, but then, of course, as we stay longer here, we were able to adapt on the language.
What strategies did teachers or other individuals, such as coaches, friends, or family, use to help you learn English?
The biggest and the most common strategy that they used was pictures. So everything, or at least when we were younger, everything came with a picture, and then that was the best part because a ball looks like a ball in every language. And we always thought English was funny because you guys use so many different letters and silent letters. It just makes no sense.
I actually found the most effective way to learn English was through playing games, and when there was some sort of reward, our class was really motivated to learn English.
So at first, when they were in their first grades, the teacher were kind of observant on the language of the kids because the kids seems to be quiet and hard to communicate. And then they teach or they taught the kids on the basic language of English, and they encourage us also to watch TV programs which are English. And yeah.
Well, reading and writing were probably the hardest thing to learn because English has so many different sounds and letters where letters don't think that they should be there, but they are. So that was probably the thing that I struggled with the most. But speaking kind of came naturally because I picked up quickly on that, and I still have trouble spelling to these days, but I mean, it's getting better. Well, when I first started picking up quicker, they began giving me more reading material with books such as Dr. Seuss and the Berenstain Bears and Franklin, and those all had simple words that would help me understand more of what was going on. And because those books contained so many pictures, I could see what was happening, and that really gave me a better understanding. And in the classroom, I remember the teacher, she used to put little labels of what things were in my language and then in what they were in English, so that really helped me pick up on it quicker and learn more what it was. And I'd say the easiest subject was probably math because numbers are the same in any language. And I think that's where I gained my confidence in being able to continue learning English.
A lot of the teachers used visuals and pictures, and under the pictures was always the actual words. We could sort of see how it's spelled. And I enjoyed the books, the ones that came with the little audio where you could listen to it and visualize it and read along with it. That way you could actually see how it's actually pronounced, how it's spelled, and you could sort of try and make the connections between the picture and the word.
Oh, back home we have like English class, like English in the TV. We have English programs, English books and everything, and then we can interact each other there in English. So it's easy for us when we come here. So it's easy for us to speak with most of the people here in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you learn first? To speak, read, or write English? What was more difficult and straightforward about these three learning experiences?
You know, everybody's different, so it depends on the kids if they can understand easily or not. So it depends on the person. But we have everything, like we have stuff, books, and TVs in English. Perfect. It's easy.
I learned to speak English before I learned to read and write it. I find that the reading is still difficult, so like reading really big words. So I still sound them out, but there's always those damn silent letters. And then writing is, I still have a lot of problems with my writing, but I've learned to write it scientifically because I read a lot of science papers. But when it comes to me having to write like an opinion-based essay, I struggle with that because I don't know how to express myself in a smart way for English people.
And can you elaborate on grade 5? And that's how, when you started to speak English?
Yeah, well, we always, like, I was learning how to speak English up to grade 5, but grade 5 was the time I didn't have to take any more ESL classes. So. But I had a good teacher. I had Miss Sutherland. She was my favorite. She would always take us out in groups and we would go and spend time in like this little room we had, and she'd take 4 of us and then she had flashcards for us to know what the words were, and then she would take us on spelling tests, and we would have more time than the rest of the kids to do spelling tests because we could sound out the words, and she'd help us sound out the words. And then we also got taught how to spell a lot of words with songs. So she would make little songs for us to remember on the spelling test.
I found learning English was pretty easy considering my environment. I was really surrounded by a lot of people that spoke English, and I watched a lot of TV, and I also read a lot, and that really helped me learn English really quickly.
I learned to read first.
To read first.
Yeah.
And which would you say is the easiest or the hardest?
Oh, what?
Is it easier to read English than it is to write when you were first learning?
Oh, yeah.
Or was it easier to speak it, or is it harder to speak it?
It's easier to, for me, based on my experience, it's easier to read.
To read.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the first word that I remember is the end, which is, when we watch movie.
Oh. The end.
The end. That's
That's so cute. Aww.
And I was still a small kid when I learned that one.
Aww.
That's why.
Was your first words you learned?
Yeah. It's easy. That's why I thought it's easier to read.
Yeah.
Than to write or to say to speak it. Yeah.
Did you have any additional support while learning English, such as ESL courses, extracurricular clubs or sports, or any enrichment programs for ESL students? Did you feel you were supported, safe, and welcomed in these groups?
Another way I learned English that really helped was through joining many sports and many after-school programs like art classes. I always felt supported, and even though sometimes I didn't know the exact word that I was looking for, there was always a positive atmosphere, and especially like the figures of authority in those groups, so like coaches or art teachers were always very helpful in helping me learn English.
In my enrichment program, there was a few other students that didn't speak the same language as me, but they were also around the same learning pattern as I was going through. So they became really good friends, and even though we couldn't really speak to each other through word, we would always play with each other and help each other learn, and teach each other different words in different languages. So that was a really fun experience. And this enrichment program, I feel that that's really the basis of where I learned how to properly read, speak, and write English, and I gained a passion for wanting to learn more.
I did a lot of sports when I was younger, so I did competitive swimming, I did dance, and I also played soccer. So by playing a lot of sports, I think it really helped me learn English, because a lot of people I was swimming with or playing with, they all had parents that spoke English, and they only spoke English. So every time I went to practice, I got to practice my English too. So it was a little bit of a bonus.
The enrichment program was through school, so during a few of my regular classes that would have been scheduled, they would take me and those other few students out, and we would all go in this room by the library, and there we could read the books, and they had a bunch of pictures and different videos that had simple words and simple ways to memorize things.
How was your experience different from your parents or in your household with regards to learning the English language?
Go for it.
My parents' first languages, respectively, were French and English. French and Greek. So they struggled a little bit more with learning English. My mom did a bunch of explore programs where she was from Quebec and she went to places like New Brunswick or Ontario to learn English. So she had to do more of an intensive immersion sort of thing, but that was later in her life, so she was 18, 20. So it's obviously harder to learn English at that age than like me in grade 4. And my dad, he learned Greek until school age. So I would say from birth until 5 years old, he had no contact with English. So that was a little bit more difficult for him.
How was your experience different? Let's see. Was your experience different from your parents or in your household for learning English? Or maybe how is your experience different from your kids learning English?
Oh yeah, with regards to my kids, because basically, I'm just going to tell what had happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because when my kids are starting to go to school, they were not allowed to speak any other language, only English, only if in school. So when my kids are telling me, oh mommy, when you step out of the house, you should speak English. Respect other people. So that's the thing. So in our house, we basically speak Tagalog, but then the kids are answering us English. They do understand Tagalog, but
so they're listening,
yeah,
but then they answer in English.
They answer in English.
Okay.
So there are two languages that is going in our house.
Okay, yeah.
Tagalog and English.
To
We, the adults, are saying Tagalog and
Yeah.
them answering English.
My parents had a really different experience. My mom didn't really go to ESL here because she got pregnant, and so she couldn't attend because she got really sick early on in her pregnancy. And then my dad attended ESL, but he's very immigrant, so he comes off very intimidating. So he didn't go very long, and then I don't think he learned very well because he still makes so many errors in his writing and his speaking. But my mom's become better because she's learned through her job. And so when she got her job, there wasn't really many Bosnians working there, so she kind of took like a dictionary with her, and they would carry dictionaries with them on the bus if they needed words, so they get people to like look up the word, and then they'd read the Bosnian version of it, so that's how they learned.
I have a younger sister who was born here, so I feel that the way she learned to speak English was easier than the way I did, because since I came here in the 3rd grade and she was born here, she got to experience going to daycare here and growing up with the language. So I feel that if I would have been born here, that through that experience I would have been able to pick it up better. But with the enrichment program that I was participating in, that also helped me gain more confidence, and taught me how to speak, read, and write English. And my parents, when they came, they knew minimal English, so I feel that whatever I would have, they couldn't really help me with, like if I'd bring home homework or anything, they couldn't really help me with that, so I feel like I helped them as well. And then when they took some English classes here, they could teach me better, so in addition, we kind of helped each other.
What would you like to say or recommend to instructors, teachers, or coaches working with ESL learners or teaching English as a second language?
For teachers, I would recommend showing a lot of videos or even getting the kids to read a lot, just to get them going and just learn about the culture and it's just good practice, especially just hearing and seeing other people talk in a foreign language is really going to help them pick it up as quickly as possible.
To go slowly and actually like pronounce the words very slowly so that students can actually attempt to say them themselves.
What would you like to see happen in the future that would give support to ESL students, children, or individuals in Winnipeg and in the school system?
Based on my experience, it's easier for me also to adjust in speaking English when my kids had learned.
When they're already learning
Yes,
English.
yes. Because sometimes what usually happen to us new immigrants is that since we are used to our language, so it's easier for us. I think we also observe us that when we were together,
You go back to your native.
Yeah, but then when we are talking with our kids, sometimes and they replied us in English, we reply them also in English.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think it's easier when the kids or the children are really starting to speak English right away.
Well, in my school we had a pretty good ESL program because there were so many of them. When we first got here, there was a classroom just of us immigrant kids, but my advice would be more for schools that don't have a lot of immigrant kids coming at once. Try and make programs for them, but don't like isolate them so that it's only one. Maybe bring along with them a friend so that they don't feel lonely, or like they're the kind of like stupid kid of the school or the class. And for teachers, just realize that we need more time to do things, even something like math, right? Which is the same pretty much in most languages. It's just that it's more stressful for you when you're sitting in a classroom all day and the teacher's talking and you have no idea what she's saying. So even doing stuff that you would normally know is more difficult because you're not in the right state of mind.
What would you recommend for new ESL students or children when learning English here in Winnipeg?
Okay. I would recommend to students to read a lot of books. That's what I did, and it really helped me learn English.
I guess for adding to their experience, they can watch TV in English, reading books in English, so that they can go to the library and borrowing some stuff to add more knowledge to them. So or can interact with all these kinds of kids in here, so we can easily talk to some other people and learn more in English.
So even though I learned a lot through my school English helping program, there was also many things that I didn't like about it. Like whenever people would always be having fun in the classroom and we were doing special activities in the classroom, I'd always be pulled out of those, and I felt like I just couldn't participate in them and they didn't trust that I would be able to do them well enough. And going away from the classroom and from that environment did help me learn on my own, but I think it took away a bit of social experience. So I believe that if maybe there were some other people who were at the same level as me and who spoke the same language as me and we were learning together, that I would feel more at home in that environment and I'd feel that I'd be better socialized.
Well, I will recommend those English programs because I think it's very good. It's just happened that I don't have time, and if I will be given the chance, I still want to attend the English program that for the new immigrants are given to them. Yeah.
For newcomers to Canada who end up going into ESL programs, I would recommend teachers and their peer students to be very patient with them because especially those who have never had to learn another language, they don't realize how difficult it is. And also to put emphasis on immersion and put them in different situations where they have to use English. So let's say like taking them to a tourist area like the Forks and practicing more hands-on situations where they'd have to use English rather than a pen and paper and repetitive work. it's good to get both like the oral and the written side of English covered in ESL.
Would you recommend to new ESL students?
I recommend that they actually pay attention to in class, even if they don't understand what the teacher's saying, still show up and
Okay, well,